Deputy Harty.
Thanks, Cian.
Or Deputy Broughan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to also welcome Minister McHugh's decision to give history special core status in the junior cycle following the review on whether history should remain as an optional subject. I'm aware that the NCCA had warned that making history mandatory for study at junior level could undermine recent junior cycle curriculum developments. But we know that, of course, while history has never been a mandatory subject in secondary school, up to now more than 90% of children, in fact, have studied it. But I think the Minister's decision seems a reasonable response to the strong case made by historians and history teachers that the subject should remain a core element of the curriculum up to Junior Cert at least. There is clearly great pressure on secondary level schools to present the most useful and modern range of subjects to each cohort of Irish children. I have supported the call in the past, for example, to strengthen the STEM subjects, science, technology, engineering and maths, very vital subjects, of course, to support a modern economy. And it's impressive, I think, that more students now are studying maths at higher level at Leaving Cert. I was also one of those, Minister, you might remember, who called for coding to become part of the junior and senior curricula at secondary level, given the great success of the informal coder dojo projects in communities around the country. And obviously the promotion of Gaeilge, our native language, the English and some European languages are also central, supporting young people with, with a deep cultural background of our nation and to give written and spoken fluency, which is so necessary for modern life. It's been striking too, of course, Minister, up to recent years, musical education, especially the study and learning of instruments, has been, I think, deficient generally across primary and second level schools. And I know Ceoltas and various other organisations have tried to fill that gap, but it's an area where we need to work on as well. But despite all those pressures and caveats, in relation to curriculum development, I think history is a uniquely valuable subject which deserves a key role in Irish education up to at least junior cert level and beyond. I think it was James Joyce, in fact, who wrote that history was a nightmare in which he was trying to awaken. And certainly the history of the 20th century, with far more than 100 million people killed by wars and oppressive regimes, the long suffering of ordinary families and people from social conditions under slavery, serfdom and brutal, unbridled capitalism, is generally very depressing. But the long-standing development, I think, in research and to research and document the lives of most people in the past, or of many people in the past, rather than just learning the litany of emperors, popes, kings and plutocrats and the machinations of European power politics, that development has been very positive, I think, in our education system. Every human being, family and community has a place in history, and the huge interest among citizens into researching their own ancestors and how they lived in the past, Can Corla, is testament to, I think, a great interest in the subject, and this clearly should be cultivated at primary and second level school. It's certainly important to study the past too, as everything about ourselves and society has been influenced and determined by past events. The subject of history therefore helps profoundly for children and adults to get a sense of their own place in time and the key influences which have shaped their lives. Studying history also helps greatly, I think, to develop analytical and writing skills as children research and assemble information led by their teachers and then present their findings and views and essays and projects and presentations. And you're right, Minister, my colleague Deputy Maureen is correct as well, that visiting historical places is also vitally important in children's education. I think also, of course, the rigorous study of history at third and fourth level often profoundly enhances our understanding of the past and casts light on how modern societies address key modern problems from their historical development. Certainly in my own case, I know that studying the work of historians like G.R. Elton on the Tudor period, Lewis Namier and H.P. Taylor and the 19th and 20th centuries under the guidance of fantastic historians, great historians like Professor Maureen Wall and Professor Art Cosgrove, former president of UCD, certainly gave me a powerful insight into the past. And indeed, when you look at the history or the historians who, from ancient times, have helped us to understand, from Herodotus, Tacitus Livy, all the way down to Edward Gibbon, David Hume, and so on in modern Britain, and of course in our own country, and going back to your own constituency, our pre-colonial medieval history, of course, was critically dominated in the great Anala Ulla, which is the great book of our nation, and the later works of Micheál O'Clery and the Four Masters. Studying that, again, every one of us in the room here, gives a particular insight into how we became what we are today. So I welcome your decision, Minister, and commend you for it.